Hi and welcome to the Beer Temple. I am Chris Quinn, joined with my wife Margaret Quinn, my lovely wife Margaret Quinn. And I'm going to come right out of the gate and say that we usually don't film many episodes in a row, but we did today. So you'll probably see me in the same clothing, which I sometimes do because I'm a scrub. But Margaret was in it. She was replaced by a special guest. Hint, hint. We're not going to talk too much about it, but we're doing a special Earth Day episode. More importantly, as part of that episode, we're drinking beer. One of those beers was in growler form. That growler was completely consumed. The beer was also completely consumed. So...
And then a little more...
Little loosey-goose.
For the homies, if you know what I mean. There was, so the growler and then some was consumed. So yeah, this show could be interesting. Let's just put it that way.
But
to make the show even more interesting, what we have today...
is a beer that... So a couple episodes ago, I did the Mikkeller Hopburn High. It's a double IPA from Mikkeller, which I feel is an important member of the craft brew scene. He is a Danish craft brewer. He's a gypsy brewer. And I just thought it was really interesting. I don't buy a lot of Mikkeller beers, I'm just going to say. I mean, there's people who love his stuff, go out and buy it. He's very experimental. He is very prolific. Always putting out new beers, always trying new things, which I really respect. For me, I just think the cost of buying his beers is a little prohibitive. When you can buy so many great local beers for, let's say, $9 for a six-pack, you can buy one of his beers for $9 and it's a crapshoot. Because he tries so much, you're not going to hit the mark every time.
Right.
So, is it worth it to maybe get a little shimmering moment of brilliance? Sometimes it is. And I do have some beers of his in my cellar that I really kind of cherish, for lack of a better term. But anyway, so I had his beer on before, and another thing I don't like about them is they don't put any sort of dating information on their bottle.
Right.
So it's hard to tell, is this double IPA shipped all the way from Denmark really good, or if it was brewed in Denmark, gypsy brewer and all. But anyway, I'm digressing quite a bit. Here's another beer from Denmark, from a gypsy brewer. It is two of Mikkeller's protégés. Met him in school. I don't know if it was culinary school, brewing school, or what it was. I just very briefly kind of looked into them. But definitely protégés in some sense of the term. Met Mikkeller before he started his brewery. He started his brewery. They're very much into the scene. They seem to have a very American mentality to the craft brewing. What they said is, if you ever see our beer in a supermarket, don't buy it. We'd rather not brew than just be a supermarket beer.
Wow.
We're out there, for the good of craft beer, to be, artisanal, trying new things, this and that. That's not why I got this beer. I got this beer because I've never seen a beer like this. It's a coffee beer, but it's a coffee double IPA.
and I still can't get my head around that.
So it was $7 a bottle,
which is...
and I bought this beer saying this is probably going to be not worth the money.
Right.
But it might be awesome, and it's worth just trying.
Yeah.
So I kind of commend these guys. It's the name of the brewery. We've talked about them. The name, but we haven't said their name. The name of the brewery is T.O. whatever that. Øl, whatever that is. So it's like the band Tool, I think, might have spelled it the exact same way, actually.
Oh, really?
Right? Didn't they have one of those little slashy O's?
I was never a Tool fan.
So I had to look up the pronunciation of O-L, because it's two words. It's not T-O-O-L. It's to Øl. To Øl.
And yeah, we looked it up online.
It means two beers.
And for the last 5 minutes, we've been listening to like a little soundbite of the word Øl.
5 minutes, maybe.
Øl.
20 seconds, maybe.
Yeah, you're right.
Margaret has a warped sense of time. Earlier today, she was trying to convince me that literally almost 4 months of time was 5 months. Remember that? Warped sense of time. Anyway, we're not here to bash the shortcomings, the many, many shortcomings of my wife. That would be too long a show.
Keep going.
I love you.
With the beer. Let's go.
Yeah. Hey, we said it could be an interesting show.
But now, you talked about freshness dating on this. I did notice a date.
Yeah, that's a Best By date.
Okay.
So they're saying this beer is Best By February 8th, 2014.
Right. Hey, thanks.
I think a lot of the European countries are mandated by law to put a Best By date on beer, so they just kind of throw one out there. Max, are you
Max
cool?
is doing some serious snoring.
Yeah.
So they did.
Yeah, so they did.
So Cofee IPA, yeah. When Chris first told me that this was going to be an episode, I was like, this could go either way. It might be really gross, or it could just be really interesting and something I want to try. Mm-hmm. I gotta say, I'm still kind of in the mindset of it's probably going to be really gross. But
I don't think it's going to be really gross. I just think, whatever. Let's just try it and find out what it is.
Good.
All right, let's look at the beer first. Obviously, an unfiltered beer, very murky.
Yeah.
Really kind of like an amber brown.
Yeah.
Like.
I mean, I'm going into like the tea category with this.
Tea.
It's very murky, not as brown as the tea.
I mean, even holding up to light, you're really not getting much through it.
No, not at all.
Not the most appealing looking beer.
Ooh, man.
Although I do like the foam. It's got an attractive head to it.
The nose is odd.
I don't know what we've gotten ourselves into here. Okay.
Ooh, man, I don't know about this.
You know what this smells like?
I know exactly.
Gym socks.
It smells like a bag of trash to me.
It smells like sweat socks to me.
It's a dumpster. You guys ever walk by a dumpster in the middle of summer when it's like really foul?
It's not that bad.
Yes,
it's not like New York City summertime sewer. It's not like that.
It's like there's like, have you ever had your trash when there's like coffee grounds in it, and it's like kind of like a sweet smell.
And the plastic smell from the bag.
It's the plastic smell from the bag.
No, she might have a point.
The sweet smell from the trash, and coffee grounds that are mixed into.
Smelling it as she describes it.
Dude, it's foul.
Well, I said gym socks.
Man.
I mean, that's not exactly delicious.
This is gonna be tough. All right.
So let's try to describe what is making up that smell. So you get out of the coffee, right? You're getting the coffee.
You definitely get the coffee.
Is the hops though like? Dude, this smells nasty. This beer smells gross.
It does.
I'm trying to like really kind of dive in and be like, okay, what makes this up? And it smells.
So you get the
nasty.
coffee, but you also get like a sweet fruitiness. At least I do. I get a sweet fruitiness. It's kind of like, for me, the kind of major nose of it.
So I'm getting a moldiness. I'm getting some sort of like a vegetal, like a vegetal moldiness to go along with that coffee aroma. I don't get a sweet fruitiness. So what kind of fruit do you get? I mean, if we're gonna smell the nastiest beer we've ever smelled on the show, we might as well smell it for a little bit.
I mean, I can't really pick out specific fruits out of this. I just pick out like a sweetness.
Yeah, but like a rancid sweetness.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like a sweetness of like maybe like pineapples that have been sitting in your trash for a while.
I don't get any pineapple. I don't get any pineapple.
Well,
I get musty, moldy, earthy, plasticine coffee.
Right, but don't forget I said that have been sitting in your trash for a while.
Right. I hear you.
All right, let's taste it. Good God. All right.
It certainly tastes way better than it smells.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a weird tasting beer.
Yeah, it is.
A really weird tasting beer.
Well,
and it's kind of like one of those like nasty, like funky cheeses where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm putting this in my mouth, and then it mellows out once you have it in your mouth.
Yeah, you're right. It's a lot more subtle on the flavor than it is on the nose. If it tasted anything like it smelled, I mean, we would just be like,
spit it back into your cup.
Yeah, you really would. But I think it's got like a nice,
I don't want to smell it. I'm trying to like creep up on the glass as I smell it, as I drink it rather.
But it's got like a nice kind of like IPA, I guess, for me, like the IPA kind of front end, and then it fades into that coffee. The coffee's definitely coming in at the very end, on the back of your tongue. You gotta kind of get that coffeeness, but it's not overpoweringly coffee. It's, like I said, it's actually a much more subtle beer than what I was expecting.
The aftertaste is the same as the smell.
Yeah.
So it's while you're drinking it, it's decent. Before you drink it, it's pretty bad. After you drink it, it's got that same trash smell. It's got lemon. It's got a lot of lemony flavors to it. It's got coffee in it as well. It does have a nice kind of hop flavor, like that lemony hop. It's got a good amount of bitterness to it, but this beer is a hot
Bag of
flipping mess. I almost dropped the F-bomb.
Yeah.
A hot mess.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, I'm really trying to pull out like the good qualities I can. This beer is
yeah, it's tough.
worst beer for the money ever I've had. I mean,
Certainly
$7 for this. This?
Yeah.
I mean, would you rather have a Bud Light than this?
Yes.
Would you rather have a Busch Light than this?
It's been a while since I've had a Busch Light, but potentially yes. At least I can get through
An
a
ice
whole bottle.
cold Busch Light?
Yeah, I can get through a bottle of Busch or a can of Busch Light. Yeah, probably no problems. With this, I keep thinking in my mind like the scenario of like me drinking this on a first date, and it would be like, so incredibly foul.
Like trying to choke it down in front of somebody so you don't
No,
look
I'm
like...
saying like the way your breath would smell afterwards. Because to me, like you're basically drinking like
garbage.
liquid garbage. Yeah, it's just not a nice smelling beer. Being around other people as you drink this would probably be a very bad idea.
Yeah. I'm putting this down with like that Wexford Irish Cream Ale we had. Maybe worse. It's worse, isn't it? There is, like, all right, there's a component of beer that's better than that Wexford, but it's so overwhelmed by that horrible scent. And I mean, you almost want to have, like, this is one of those beers or one of those things where, like, oh my God, you have to try it. It's so weird and gross.
Yeah, but I think...
I feel bad because I really think these guys feel like they're trying to do stuff, and you can't hit a home run if you're not willing to try to strike out spectacularly.
Right.
And so, you know, I'm not going to say To Øl is, you know, garbage.
Oh, sure.
But this beer is a loser. This is a bad beer. This is not a beer that is worth trying unless you really want to be like, oh my God, they hated this beer that much. Just trust us. Don't buy the beer. I mean,
yeah. So the price point is just, it doesn't make it, you know, feasible to really want to try this beer. I just noticed that it's 10.5% as well. So it's a big beer, not something that you can even really like kind of choke down and be like, okay, fine, you know, like I tried it. I think this is definitely a pass. As far as ratings, I would say, I don't know, 80.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
I agree. I agree
80,
that there's like kind of
80.
like small highlights in there where you can tell.
70. So here's the deal. So we gave Hop 15 an 87. This beer is so much worse than that beer. It's at least 10 points worse. It's 77.
Okay.
It's 77.
I'm fine with that. It's hard to drink. It's hard to smell. I don't want to be around other people if I ever had to drink it. It's overpriced and it's just way too big to even make it, you know, to even want to really kind of choke down this kind of a beer. So yeah, you're right. It's a total fail. 77 then.
There you go. In a way, I'm glad we reviewed this beer just because it's such an epic fail. I'm not glad I spent $7 on it, but there you go. You got to try new stuff. And
if you like
trash,
this is the beer for you.
Well, I mean, not all kinds of trash because I am married to you, so never mind. That was really mean. I love my wife.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
we've got some.
We gotta think of a different. We've got to go find some good beer to drink.
We got to go find some good beer to drink.
And hopefully, you do too.